Read a sentence out loud and your voice does something the words alone never tell you. It comes to a full stop. It pauses at a comma. Now and then it lands somewhere you didn't expect, and you feel a small surprise. Music does the exact same thing. A melody isn't one endless line, it breathes in phrases, and every phrase has to end somehow. The way a phrase ends is its punctuation, and in music those endings are called cadences. A cadence is just the last couple of chords of a phrase, and your ear reads them instantly. This is finished, or this is only paused, or wait, that's not where I thought we were going. Today we'll meet 4 of them, all in the key of C major, all built from the plain white key chords you already know. One will sound like a firm full stop. One will sound like a gentle sigh. One will hang in the air like a question. And one will set you up for the ending, then pull the rug out from under you. Once you can hear these 4, you'll never listen to a song the same way again, because you'll feel exactly where it breathes, where it pauses, and where it finally comes to rest. Start with the strongest ending of them all, the one that sounds like a door closing firmly. We take 2 chords. First we play G, the chord built on the 5th note of the scale, the one that leans forward and feels restless, like it's pulling toward something. Then we let it resolve and land on C, the home chord, the ground floor of the key. G then C. Listen to how completely that settles. The tension in the G lets go, and the C arrives like a full stop at the end of a sentence. This is the authentic cadence, sometimes called the perfect cadence, and it is the strongest sense of arrival in all of tonal music. The reason it feels so final is that the G chord contains the note B, sitting just 1 semitone below C, leaning hard into home, and when it finally steps up to that C, the pull releases all at once. Almost every classical piece, every hymn, every pop song that needs to sound truly done ends right here. G to C. That is the full stop, the sound of a phrase that has nothing left to say. Now a softer way home, an ending that doesn't slam the door but eases it shut. This time, instead of G, we play F, the chord built on the 4th note of the scale. Then we move from F back to C, F then C. Hear how different that feels from the last one. There's no sharp tension pulling and then releasing, it's gentler, rounder, more like a sigh settling than a full stop snapping shut. This is the plagal cadence, and you almost certainly know it already, because it's the sound sung on the word Amen at the end of a hymn. Sing Amen in your head right now, and that is exactly this move, F resolving to C. It still arrives home, still feels like an ending, but it's a calmer, warmer landing. Where the authentic cadence is a firm full stop, the plagal cadence is a soft one, the kind of close that feels like a quiet exhale rather than a final word. Same destination, C, but a gentler road in. The next one doesn't end at home at all. It deliberately stops short, and that's the whole point. Picture a phrase that builds and builds and then, instead of resolving to C, it simply ends on G and stays there. We play C to set the scene, and then we move up to G, and we just sit on it. Listen. Nothing resolves. The G hangs in the air, restless and open, clearly unfinished. This is the half cadence, and it works exactly like a comma. A comma doesn't end the sentence, it pauses it and promises there's more coming. Ending on G does the same thing to a musical phrase. Your ear knows it isn't done. It's a held breath, a question left dangling, a sentence that trails off and waits. Composers use this constantly to keep you leaning forward, because a phrase that ends on G needs an answer, and that pull to continue is what carries you into the next line of the music. It's the comma that keeps the whole thing moving. Now for the sly one, the ending that lies to you. We set up the strongest cadence in the book. We play G, exactly like the authentic cadence, and your ear leans in, certain it knows what comes next. The G is going to resolve to C, the full stop, home. Everything is primed for that landing. And then, at the last second, instead of C, it swerves to A minor. Listen to that swerve. The bass note you were braced for never comes, the music dodges home and slips onto the minor chord just above it, A minor, the chord built on the sixth note of the scale. This is the deceptive cadence, and it earns its name. It promises the full stop, then refuses to give it. That little twist of A minor lands somewhere bittersweet, a touch of shadow exactly where you expected sunlight. It's the musical equivalent of a sentence taking a turn you didn't see coming, and composers reach for it whenever they want a gut punch, a surprise, or simply a reason to keep the phrase going just a little longer before they finally let you home. So there they are, for ways to punctuate a musical phrase. The authentic cadence, G to C, the firm full stop, the strongest way home. The plagal cadence, F to C, the gentle amen, a softer landing. The half cadence, ending on G, the comma that leaves you hanging and wanting more. And the deceptive cadence, G to A minor, the surprise that promises home and then swerves away. For endings, built from the same handful of white key chords, each one shaping how a phrase feels the instant it lands. From now on, when a song hits its big finish, you'll know exactly why it sounds final, and when it pauses mid-thought, you'll feel why it has to keep going. You'll hear where music breathes. Cadences are how phrases end, but the next question is how phrases get there in the first place, and that's the world of chord progressions, longer journeys of chords moving through a key. Master cadences and you've learned how music stops. Next, we learn how it travels.